Hello everybody. It's time for another Peerless Drew live stream talking about the latest YouTube video. Because I am on locals.com, peerlessdrew.locals.com. And if you felt like supporting my efforts, that's where you can do it. Someone asked me why I wasn't on Patreon. It's because I don't like them. That's the TLDR version. Today we're going to talk about Cliffjumper. As you can see, I actually have two of them. One of them is the pre-dead, and the other one's the zombie version. I did switch between the two during the video. Some people got a little confused and thought I shot this guy the whole time, but I did not. You don't see any evidence of the paintwork throughout the video. It's only at the very end that we switched to that guy. But I think this is an excellent figure. It's not necessarily the best of the first edition figures, but it's in the ballpark. One feature you don't really get to see in the video is he can flip his, you gotta kind of adjust his hand just so. But you can flip his hand around. So he's got the built-in hand guns, which is nice. Don't get that very often. It's an excellent, this is a deluxe. And, you know, show how economics have changed over the years. I mean, this figure, I think it was probably a little more expensive, but at the time it came out, deluxes would go for like $10. And, but this was first edition. It was at Toys R Us, so I imagine it was more than $10 when I bought it. It was probably closer to like 15 or something. I tried to bring up the saturation. These cheaper cameras have a lot of trouble with red. And so it's hard to kind of get the red to show like it does in real life or how it shows on a regular DSLR style camera. The DSLR is like specifically engineered to mimic human vision, whereas these things are very simple. They don't do reds very well. Super clever figure. I really like it. It cleans up nice from all angles. There's no hollows. I mean, I guess you can see a little hollow right there in the back of his biceps. We'll cut him some slack. And of course, if you raise an arm, I mean, you can see straight through the figure. So there's a hollow. I take it back. He's not a very complicated transformation, but a lot more complicated than you would think for his mode and what kind of figure he is. The chest panels kind of split like this, and then there's like a little tab that gets caught between them. So they stay split. But we're going to undo that. I'm going to take care of the hood stuff so we can bring the... I like how the headlights of the car translate to the front, kind of in the styling of the cartoon figure. But this untabs from there. Lifts out, and then you fold this down, and you have to remember to fold these out. If you forget, things will bind and you'll be screwed. The head on mine got weak. It's clear plastic, and I had a tendency to kind of I'd be kind of lazy and lift the panel that the head sits on by just pulling on the head. I wouldn't recommend that. That's probably how I ended up with a loose head. So you have been warned. Probably get a spudger or something to lift that panel out rather than pull on the head itself. This one doesn't have that problem because I haven't transformed it as much as the clean non-zombie one. I guess I just prefer it. So we're going to bring the arms up, and you have to kind of walk this tab in, just so. But the key is to get it to tab in to the roof line, and then we can start bringing everything together. The wheels lift up like that, and there is like a double joint here, so one's got like a bit of a burr so it pops, and then you can see it seats in nicely there. So we'll pop the first one and then just fold the whole thing up. Didn't quite pop all the way. There we go. And then we can bring the trunk pieces back, keep them tabbed together, and we're just going to spread this out just a little bit, just to get them situated there. That's the back of the car. I really appreciate figures where the back and the front are like separate operations. We do want to create a little clearance here. It's not super clear in the video, but I mean, this can be like this, and then there's not any clearance. But if you bend it just a little bit and keep the hood out of the way, you can see it rotates around just fine. And then we can start straightening it up. This piece here kind of hides inside there. Now remember, it's part of the lower part of the body, so you do have to move it out of the way before you can do that rotation that we just did. So make sure that's out of the way. We can kind of start straightening the hood out. There's a step that I frequently forget when I put this figure down for a couple of months and come back to it. But we're folding these out. These you have to kind of take advantage of the ball joint there to splay them out far enough to clear that hood, that edge. And then you do want to remember to bring out these the backs of the windows. Now, you might be tempted to just go ahead and start folding this in half, and what you'd find is nothing would line up properly. Because this is the thing I always forget. The leg actually has a little bit of a zigzag joint here, and so it has to be like this to put away properly. I don't know. Hey, there's some brainiacs out there. I never forget that, but I forget it. I'll come back after a year and be like, how's this work? But now you can flip these around and just start kind of situating them. Mostly you can do it like akimbo, like this, and then bring it up. The key thing here is you do want this flap here to fit between these two teeth. So it just goes in there like that. Just make sure the window is visible. Did you forget to pull it out? Because that's a problem. And then this all tabs in. I really like how the components of the car are managed like that. This is a very clever design. I don't know who designed it. I wish they would rock star their designers more, because those are the people I'd most want to interact with. Put them on social media. They're probably, engineering nerds. They don't want to deal with like fanboys. But pretty tidy. Cleans up real nice. It's a cool looking car. It's like a very aggressive sort of 70s style muscle car. But it probably takes design cues from a bunch of different cars. I saw one guy in the comments rattled off like, "What is it?" And he rattled off a bunch of cars. It all sounded like reasonable guesses as to what it was, but well, anyway. There's not much else to discuss. I'm going to transform them back into robot because that's how I like to display them. So we're just pulling these out. Make sure that comes loose. And then this whole thing can rotate up. Put away the window. Flip out the foot. Straighten the leg. Fold this over. It tabs. Tabs in the back and in the front. Do the same thing over here. I've got a bunch of stuff on order right now. Let's see, Devil Savior Axe is on its way. We'll be here at some point. I went ahead and pulled the trigger on that oversized version of Farage, which was the Dino. It looks like a infuriatingly complicated figure, which is exactly the sort of thing I'm looking for in a video. And it doesn't look like, I don't know, maybe those of you that already own it will be like, oh, you don't know. But actually, it doesn't look like it's too bad. I could probably figure out a good clean way to do it. Also on the way is the very unusual TFC Toys took a big pivot, and they made they've made this sort of Macross looking jet out of the Chinese J-20, their equivalent of the P-35 or the F-35 Lightning, the Joint Strike Fighter. There's a lot of speculation that some of the design for the J-20 was kind of like corporate espionage away from the U.S. But it's a cool looking jet. I don't know how practical it is as a stealth jet. Some people talk about how the front canards of the jet, you don't get many stealth designs that have front canards. There are some, but it's not generally thought of as ultimate stealthy to have front canards. But it's a cool looking jet, and it looks like a cool looking figure, so I decided to go ahead and pull the trigger on that. It's pretty spiffy. Remembering that I have to pull this out before I can do the rotation. And then make sure we use a spudger to get the head up, because pulling on the head will eventually break the joint, because it's just, I hate that clear plastic. I'm sure they have their reasons, but it causes issues, man. So we're tabbing that in, and then we're kind of bringing the headlights up. And there he is. He's a handsome boy. I guess with his loose head, he's just always going to look quizzical. Huh, what's going on there? What's going on there, fellas? Hello, quiet kid. You made it just in time for what will be a very short live stream, because ain't nobody here, and I'm done talking about my subject. I'll have more complicated figures in the future as they come in. I ordered Iron Factory's version of like the Red Dragon. That looks pretty cool. I don't know if it's going to be a stop motion video. I'll have to see. This is what you can view right now on peerlessdrew.locals.com. Look at that. Now you could be unsupportive and wait until this comes out next Sunday, this coming Sunday, as the YouTube video. But from now on, I'm trying to put all of the newest videos, other than borrowed figures, live on locals.com, or first on locals.com. And then they go to YouTube. But it's like $2. You pledge like $2. It's like, I think it's ostensibly $2 a month, but you could just not continue to pay. It's kind of like Patreon, but it's like a direct platform. This is a lot like Patreon, except with less corporate corruption. And anyway, you can see that guy hiding in the background. He'll be the next video. The next video on Locals will be whatever I decide that I'm going to shoot this weekend. It might be that dragon. It might be, I don't know. I should get around to trying to do one of the Yamato Macross jets that I have, but they're a little bit like fans' toys, like they didn't, mid-transformation, they don't care if it holds together. So it's got like floppy joints here and there. And I hate to transform something where I have to just lay it down and transform it flat. That's kind of boring. Sunday got it, remember. Okay. I don't know. But that's it. That's all I got to talk about today. I'm done talking about stuff. Thanks for coming, quiet kid. Anyone else that showed up didn't say nothing? Passively watching, it's fine. I just don't have anything else to discuss. I got the it's upstairs. I'll have to talk about it next weekend. But I got that Maverick, the Top Gun crossover jet. I got to tell you, that jet is. I'll get into it next week when I discuss it, if I remember it. But it's a very good design, and it's a very terrible like plastic. It's got a semi-translucent plastic, and it's got this weird paint job that looks like it was expensive, like a really fancy, ugly paint job on it, with like weird little. I don't even think it would come out on the camera, but that's a weird figure. I picked up Earthrise Soundwave. That's a sweet figure. That's like very, very reminiscent. Soundwave was probably my favorite G1 figure because it had so much play value. It had those tapes. I love tapes. To this day, I collect things like Beast Box. If you've never heard of it, it's 52 toys, no space, 52 toys. They make a line of toys called Beast Box, and they do some higher profile stuff. Like they get official licensing to do like Iron Man and Alien and Predator characters like that, but they a lot of their business is just their own in-house creations, these cubes that turn into various animals. And I just, the tapes, I always enjoyed the fact that they all turned into the same form factor. They all turned into like a tape. But that, you know, like the same form factor would produce different things, like a panther or a eagle or whatever. And that's what I like about 52 Toys. I did one video, like a collection video of 3 of their designs, but pretty clever. Fun to have a bunch of different things turn into the same object, a cube or a tape. May I ask how you got so many subs? Well, I like to think that I produce good quality content, and I make an effort to produce it every single week. So like recently when I wanted to have the delay for when I generated the delay I needed to start doing locals.com, like getting a figure out there a week early, I had to produce I had to do 2 productions that week. I did the shooting for it was this guy. I still have him on my desk. But I had to do the shooting for him, or I did the shooting for, I put him away, but the Vinyl Tech figure, because I figured that was going to be my first locals figure. And then I shot him Sunday like a regular production. I'd already shot, like Wednesday, I shot the Vinyl Tech figure. And then I produced them both the same day and posted them up. This was my last direct to YouTube, other than borrowed figures like Tigatron. So to keep on a weekly schedule, I had to like produce 2 figures. Getting a lot of subs is about having good quality content. Obviously, nobody's gonna. I mean, I don't know. There's insane things in the world. I was gonna say nobody's gonna sub to you just staring at a wall, but someone would. There's probably some kid making $1 million a year on YouTube just staring at a wall or something, but. So come up with a good thing, give people what they expect, and produce consistently. That's how I got so many subs. And it took a long time, and there's probably better ways to get more subs, and I should probably just be doing I should probably just be doing like jewelry videos if I wanted to make money at YouTube. But I wanted, kind of for my own reasons, to make clean stop motion demonstrations of how these things work. I'm kind of doing it for myself, and you guys can see it too. So I try to be consistent for you guys, but most of it, I'm just kind of OCD, and I like the process of making the videos. How do I make it so smooth? Twisted Vids asks. I feel like you've asked me questions before, but I use a piece of software for capturing the videos. I actually use something called Dragon Frame. It was like a license where you don't have to keep paying for the license. Like basically a lifetime license was like $300, and I just went ahead and got it. But you can get cheap stop motion videos for your cell phone. Make sure you put your cell phone on a tripod. And the software you want to get is like stop motion software, where it presents the previous picture as kind of a ghost image, and the current what's in frame as like the more solid image, and you can make sure that everything stays lined up. That's how you make it smooth. My goal is to, like, you know, if I want to show a part transforming, I just want to move just that part, and I don't want anything else to move. So it takes a little planning. It takes a lot of having that software to help you keep things lined up, because, you know, it's going to move. I glue the figures to the platform using sticky tack or glue dots, which are temporary. So the more variables you can cut down, which is why people are like, oh, how come you don't make them dance? And I'm like, well, I'm not a stop motion guy. I'm a transform the figure guy. So I'm trying to like isolate the movements. I don't want them doing a bunch of extraneous movement while I'm trying to, you know, show that the arm or the, you know, transformation joint goes like so. I have iOS and Stop Motion Studio. Yeah, Stop Motion Studio is fine. It just, if you've already got an onion skinning program and you're already doing that and doing it, the only thing I could say is if you need to make it smoother, pay better attention to where it is. The software I use, DragonFrame, I don't think Stop Motion Studio had it, but DragonFrame has like a button you can just kind of tap and hold, like tap. It uses the keypad. But there's like an option, instead of just onion skinning, I can do something where I like flip back and forth between the two pictures very quickly, you know, and I can tell like if there's extraint, like movement that I don't want, because I can see it jitter. And so I adjust, I like rotate the turntable or adjust the figure until it doesn't jitter so much, and I just have the one part moving. So it just takes a lot of attention to detail. If you really focus on it, it can be slow to do at first, and then as you get better at it, it doesn't take you as much time to line the pictures up. But lining them up when you take them is the single best thing to keep the animation the way you want it to be. Well, I mean, YouTube has a pretty wide range, so Quiet Kid, you could totally post your videos on YouTube and, drop by one of my videos and give me a link to your video and I can critique your stop motion skill. But, there's not too bad for YouTube. It's just you won't get a lot of traction if you're not doing something that people find useful to watch, Even I don't have so much traction. I can probably do product reviews and make, I like live streams like there's not thousands of people in the chat, so YouTuber can answer. Well, that's true, yeah. I mean, you get live streams where the only way you're going to get attention is by super chatting. Not that I would mind if any of you would super chat, like as a symbolic thing. Here's a buck. But I'm probably going to see all the questions anyway, so. You wanted overheat? Which one's overheat? Well, I appreciate you sticking around. You're not my usual crew. I guess I got on too early for some of those people. New conversations, fun. Maybe I lost it. Maybe I said something insensitive or something. I got canceled by a group of people. I don't know. It's hard to keep track these days. Well, I found Transformers Prime figures at Toys R Us. How long was it? Were these from 2006, maybe? So 14 years ago, I found them at Toys R Us. So if you have a time machine, you can do it the way I did it. Otherwise, they are pretty expensive on eBay. I think this guy goes for like $75 or $80, but when I bought him at Toys R Us, he would have been like $25 or something. Okay, I didn't remember that name. So it's the MP drag strip by X Transbots. That's cool. Hopefully they're going to release that trailer. I've seen some, they've been teasing pictures of the combined version of them, finally. They've set a release date or a pre-order date in December. And who knows when the release is going to be. It could be February before March or April or next summer before they actually release the damn thing. But I'm looking forward to doing another combiner video like I did for the all built-in MMC Bruticus. Oh, you have a time machine, then you should be very rich. You think, is that how the time machine would work? You would age backwards? I don't know. It depends on the time machine. There's lots of different time machines in fiction. Like, they operate different ways, but I like the one in Primer. The time machine that they had in this movie called Primer or whatever. They couldn't go back further than the time machine was constructed. And when you went back, if you wanted to go back like a day, you had to spend a day in the time machine, like going backwards. So there wasn't like an instantaneous going back. You had to like sit there you bring a book. You had to like sit there for a day while it took you backwards in time, and then you would climb out and be like a day ago. So it was interesting, more of a realistic, because it was more constrained. It wasn't so magical like regular time machines. Yeah, but how would a 1-year-old get into Toys R Us? It doesn't work. That dog won't hunt, as they say. I like the time. All right. I like the time too. It keeps events separated, so you don't have everything happening exactly the same moment. I think that's what the Big Bang is. Everything's just happening at once. That's why it's such a mess. All right, gang. I just spotted them and I like them, so I'm going to show you my gold stormtrooper. He's super gold. And he's just as pointless as Captain Phasma. So, look cool, accomplish nothing for the plot. Yeah, you'd have to go like double your life, but you'd have to have built the machine the day you were born, so that doesn't seem likely. Or, you know, you'd have to borrow a machine that was built that far back. If you get a chance to watch it, it's Primer, Primer, and it's about time travel. So if there's some other Primer that's like a, you know, Elizabethan historical drama, that's not the one I'm talking about. But Primer's like this time travel movie, and it's about these two guys that invent a time machine kind of by accident. And it's really hard to understand, so what I would recommend is you watch it and pay attention and try to see if you understand what the hell's going on, and then maybe watch some YouTube videos about like what the hell's going on, and then watch it again so you have like more of a framework to hang what's going on the screen. Because there's one sequence like 3/4 of the way through the movie that's like super confusing. I don't know that I've completely understood it, but yeah, it's a really cool premise, and there's some cool little twists in it. So Primer, it's a really cheap movie. It was made on, you know, they made it for like $10,000, but it's a cool movie. Mando is amazing, and you should catch up because the last episode, the most recent episode, season 2, episode 6, that episode is off the hook. That is a great episode. So I would definitely recommend that you get caught up on Mando. Oh, then you've been watching like Clone Wars and Quiet. You've been watching Clone Wars and Rebels and whatever the new show is going to be. Those are all canon too. So you see stuff like Easter eggs from those shows showing up in, or entire characters showing up in Mando, which is pretty cool. All right, gang. Well, I appreciate you guys chatting with me. I'm going to go engage in other activities. We'll be, like I said, we'll have this guy on YouTube Sunday. We'll have some other figure, don't know yet which one, on Sunday on the locals.com. If you want to support me at plsdrew.locals.com, then that would be cool. I just realized part of the reason people were complaining about my microphone being kind of faint is it's been too far away from me this whole time, and I'm sorry. But now I fixed it, so next time it won't be a problem. All right, gang. I'm going to go. Have a nice day. Have a nice weekend. Have a nice life. Catch you next Wednesday. Catch me outside. Dismiss.